In today's subscriber story, the subscriber accidentally walks in on his best friend's sister, and it was pretty awkward. Enjoy the story. So the subscriber has a best friend who he's known for like 10 years, and for the sake of this video, let's just call the dude Ben. I know I've used Ben a lot, but hey, it's a pretty solid name. Anyway, so Ben also had an older sister who we'll be calling Kiki. She's kind of irrelevant for like the first minute or two, but she becomes pretty integral to the story in just a second, as you guys will see. Final bit of important information is that Kiki, who is Ben's older sister, right? She had a boyfriend, and let's just call the boyfriend, let's call this guy Jack, right? So Jack and Kiki had been in a relationship for probably 2 years at this point. It was a long-term relationship. And so the subscriber was actually kind of friends with Jack, but it wasn't super close friends because, there's a bit of an age gap. And Jack was kind of just a mentor figure. The subscriber would go to Jack when he had any questions about school, relationship, life, etc. Anyways, right, so the day of the story, the subscriber is invited over to Ben's house for a sleepover. As you know, Ben and the subscriber are good friends. They're in the same grade. They've been hanging out a lot more recently. And yeah, he's coming over for a sleepover. They're probably going to watch a movie, play some Xbox. It's have a really solid Friday night, man. Just a really good Friday night. Just something to look forward to. You have a long week, but if you have a good Friday night planned, you can get through a lot. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, right, so the actual day the sleepover happens, the subscriber goes over to Ben's house. I hope I've not been calling Ben Jack, by the way. Jack is the boyfriend of Ben's older sister. Sometimes juggling all these fake names in my head gets complicated. Anyways, right, so the subscriber and Ben, they're watching a movie, and they decide to go into the kitchen, have a little bit of a water break. It was about halfway through the movie anyways. I think Ben wanted to get some snacks or something. The subscriber was kind of thirsty, so he's getting some water. So they're in the kitchen, and the sister Kiki was there, and since the subscriber had been friends with Ben for a while, he had known kind of Kiki, right? She was down there, and she was like, "Oh, hi, subscriber." Didn't say his name because I don't know it, and also I'm not gonna leak it, right? But she was like, "Oh, hi there, I haven't seen you in so long, it's good to see you again, hope everything's going well." And at this point, I think Kiki was probably either in her first year of college, but I think more likely she's a senior in high school. And he was like, "Yeah, how's that going?" The subscriber is asking is life good? All that kind of small talk like that. And they just had a very nice, friendly interaction. Let me just say that the next interaction between the subscriber and Kiki, the older sister, it just didn't go down as cleanly. It just wasn't as smooth as you'll probably see in a second. He's right. So Ben and the subscriber, they eventually, they get their food, they get their snacks, they go back, they finish the movie. Pretty solid movie, right? So, they're kind of I don't know, it's got to be 10, 11. It's not so late that, they want to go to bed, but they still want to, they want to go up, they want to do something. They don't want to go and invest into another movie or something because, that would just be too late, and they kind of just want to switch it up. So they say, Ben's like, "Hey, do you want to go upstairs to my room and we can play some Xbox or something before we, call it a night?" And subscriber's like, "Yeah, no, that sounds pretty good. Been a second since I've hopped on, Xbox, so it'd be nice to go on there again." And yeah, so anyways, they head up to Ben's room, they head up to Ben's room. I got the name right. Points for me. Nice. Good job, me. So they get to Ben's room, and, the Xbox is there, and there's the bed, and then Ben's kind of looking around, and he finds one controller, right? So he hands it to the subscriber, and he just can't find the other controller. He's like, "Dude, where's the other controller? I had two at one point, I didn't take them anywhere." So he's kind of thinking about it for a second. He's like, "Oh yeah, the other controller's in Kiki's room." He doesn't totally know. The subscriber's like, "Dude, why?" And he's like, "Dude, I don't even know, but I just know for a fact it's there." So anyways, right, the controller's in Kiki's room, and the Ben's like, "Can you go get it?" And because, I don't know, he's setting up the game or something, or tweaking with his Xbox, trying to get that all set up and such. The subscriber's like, "Dude, I don't want to go into your sister's room." He's like, "Dude, it's fine. She knows who you are. It's not a big deal." So, right, the subscriber's like, "All right, bro, I'll go to your sister's room, and I really hope it's there, or it's going to be kind of weird." And he's like, "Dude, it's there. Trust me." And the subscriber's like, "Okay, yeah, sure. No, I'll just go to your sister's room." He's like, "Okay, do it." And he's setting up the game or whatever. And the subscriber's like, "All right, fine. It's a little weird, but I'll go over," right? So he goes over starts walking down the hall, and he sees that, Kiki's room is, it's like a little bit, it's not locked. The door's a little bit open. There's also light in the room, meaning that someone's there. She also kind of like hears like, some noise. So he's like, okay, she's there. So he goes up to the door. By the way, real quick, if you subscribe to the channel and also leave a like in the video, if you do those two things, you will receive literally nothing, which is a fantastic deal. I know, I'm just feeling so generous today. I'm just such a wonderful person for doing that. I'm already aware of that, but anyways, back to the story. The subscribers, he's like walking down, the hallway, and he's going to the door, and he sees it's like a crack open, and there's light coming from it, and there's someone inside. So what he does is he kind of like, he knocks on the door, and he starts asking, like, he's like, hey, like, is there a controller in here? But the thing is, instead of like knocking at the door and waiting, he's kind of like going on autopilot, and he kind of sees that the door is already open. So he, how you knock on a door and you're like opening it at the same time? That's exactly what he was doing. He was walking into Kiki's room, knocking on the door while opening the door, while asking the question, hey, do you have a controller in here? Like, Ben says that there's a controller in here. So that was a bad call. Let me just say that. So, just to put it lightly, that was a very bad idea. So as he's like opening the door, he's like, hey, do you have a control? And then, he looks straight ahead because the bed is facing the door. She's with some random guy who he doesn't recognize, right? And, they weren't doing something the second that, like, he walked in. They weren't, like, in the middle of anything as he was, like, looking at them. But it was very, 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 very apparent, right? It was extremely apparent. It was so transparent. Okay, you get the point. It was very obvious what they were doing, like, 1 millisecond before that half-open door was opened by the subscriber. And Kiki just looks at him like, just like, and the thing is though, like real quick, like tangent, Kiki doesn't know that, the subscriber and her boyfriend at the time, who was definitely not the guy in the bed, were actually kind of close. She had no idea. So she, wasn't worried or anything. She wasn't like worried that, the subscriber would tell, Jack? Yeah, Jack's his name. But she was like mad that he walked in on her when she didn't want anyone walking in. So Kiki looks at him and says, why did you not knock? And, the subscriber starts to go like, I knocked. And then she's like, dude, get out of my room. And like very like aggressively. And the subscriber's like, yeah, of course. So he's walking back. And before he even like, it really like registers that she was cheating on her boyfriend, the first thing that just like occupies his brain is just like, dude, why me? Why me? Like, why couldn't Ben do this? Like, it would be so less awkward if it was Ben. It wouldn't be great if it was Ben, because Ben probably wouldn't even knock. He would just barge right in there. But at the same time, like, dude, I don't even know this girl. Like, at least Ben's he was just like, so just like upset with the fact, like how reality works. So he walks back to Ben's room, and, Ben looks at him because he's got the game all set up. He's like, dude, where's the controller? And he's like, he looks at Ben, he's like, bro, I just walked in on her with some guy. Like, it's so, like, oh, he's like, dude, just, I can't go back there. I honestly can't go back there. I'm sorry. I didn't get the controller. And as the subscriber's saying this, it's starting to, like, his brain's starting to realize, right? He's starting to comprehend the fact that it wasn't Jack in that bed. It wasn't Jack, right? It wasn't her boyfriend of over 2 years and also his mentor or whatever, the dude he looked up to. It was some random dude. And he was also very sure that at the time they were still, Jack and this girl, Kiki, were still in a relationship because he saw Jack a couple days before and he talked about it. And because the subscriber asked Jack for advice about like relationships, and Jack was going off about how great of a relationship he had. So yeah, it kind of sucked because he was sitting there realizing that, he had to do the right thing and break it to Jack. He had to. So then he kind of turns to Ben. He's like, and Ben's about to be like, fine, I'll go in there. He's like, dude, wait, hold up. And Ben's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, bro, like, isn't she in a relationship with Jack? And Ben's like, yeah, they've been in a relationship for like 2 years. Was it not him? And the subscriber just looks at Ben with this face. And Ben's face starts to drop a little bit. And he's like, it wasn't Jack? And the subscriber's like, no, dude, it was some random guy. And he's like, well, what if they were just studying or something? Like, what if it was like a project? And the subscriber looks at Ben like, dude, let me just say, like, I didn't necessarily see anything, but just the context. If you were there, you would have known for a fact that, it wasn't just like a little study sesh, a little harmless little study project group, whatever, right? It was some straight on like not that. That's about as far as I want to go. So Ben, who's also like had a lot of conversations with Jack because Jack's been dating his sister for 2 years at this point, and Ben also really liked Jack as just like a person, like dude to dude. He just really appreciated him because he was just a good guy. Like he just had everything in the right place, right? And Ben was like a little bit in disbelief. He's like, no, dude, like it probably was Jack, right? You just probably like left the room really quickly. Like you probably saw him from like a weird angle or something. And the subscriber's like, dude, no, I saw what I saw. And then, Ben's like, okay, well, so Ben goes up to his window and he looks outside and he looks at the car in the driveway because there's like his parents' cars or car or whatever. And then, he knew what Jack's car looked like. And he looked at the car in the driveway and sure enough, it was a car he just does not recognize at all. And he kind of just like turns back. He's like, maybe Jack just got a new car, right? Because he was really kind of like trying to like, he was trying not to believe the truth at this point. And the subscriber said, in kind of probably something that wasn't the smartest thing to say, he said, you can go look for himself because Ben actually went to go look for himself. He didn't even like go in to ask for the controller. He literally just barged into the room and, the subscriber was just kind of like sitting in Ben's room. He hears like a door slam open and then he hears kind of like screaming and yelling coming from Kiki, Ben's sister. And then Ben walking into his room with his like face kind of like flushed. And he's like, dude, yeah, that is definitely not Jack. Like 100%. Like, oh my God. Like, yeah, my sister is cheating on her boyfriend. Yeah. So the subscriber and Ben just like, they sit on the bed and they're just like, okay, bro, like, wow, like that sucks. And the subscriber looks at Ben. He's like, dude, I gotta tell him. And Ben's like, I don't want to get my sister in trouble. And then he's like, but Jack's such a good guy. He deserves to know. Like he honestly just deserves to know better. Like I love my sister, of course, because like she's my sister, but I don't want her hurting anyone like this. And they had a pretty like it was not an open relationship. Like they definitely knew that. And obviously if it was, then like Jack wouldn't have cared. So why would it matter that he told him? Like so the subscriber is like, yeah, I just got to tell him. So the subscriber whips out his phone and he texts Jack and he's like, dude, can we hang out tomorrow? And Jack's like, yeah, sure. Like, anything on your mind? He's like, yeah, this isn't going to be a great conversation. Like, just prep yourself. It's not going to be great. And Jack was probably thinking at the time, like, that, so the subscriber was going through something or he was having lady issues or something. Definitely not that his girlfriend was cheating on him, but whatever, right? So Jack is like, yeah, of course, bro. Like, I'll be there. And then he texts him as well. He said, do you mind if I bring Ben too? And the dude's like, yeah, of course. I love Ben. Like, Kiki's little brother. Like, of course he can come. And the subscriber's like, ooh. Kind of referred to you as Kiki's little brother. That's interesting. So about an hour passes, and they're just kind of like online. They're just kind of like browsing YouTube at this point because they don't have the other Xbox controller. They can't play Xbox, but they're also like, one, it's not late enough for them to go to bed, and two, they're pretty wired because of the whole thing. They just like a bunch of adrenaline, right? Because they just like they just walked in on something they shouldn't have, or at least Ben knew what he's walking into, but he had to like confirm or whatever. So they're just kind of like they're chilling, whatever, right? And then you hear a knock on the door about like an hour and a half later, and they're just like, is it like are like Ben's parents like want us to go to bed or something? Like it's not even that late at this point, man. And also they really don't care. But when Ben goes to answer the door, he opens it, and the subscriber sees that Kiki's at the door. He's like, oh, no. And the Kiki's like, hey, Ben, can I talk to you for a second? And the subscriber's just waiting in Ben's room, like kind of just waiting there, hearing kind of like a muffled conversation. And then he hears Ben say, yeah, no, 100%, I get it. Like, I get it. And he comes back in the room, and the subscriber's like, what was that? And Ben says, hey, my sister told me that under no circumstances can I tell Jack. And the subscriber's like, dude, Jack needs to know. And he says, yeah, I 100% agree. She didn't say anything about you. So, I will not be able to join you tomorrow. And he cannot, he's just got to like, when he breaks up with her, because he definitely is going to break up with her, he's got to know that it was you who said it, not me, because I will be destroyed and I live with her and she will make my life a living hell, basically. But you don't live with her, so you're telling him, not me. So, the subscriber had to do it alone. He understands why Ben couldn't. And honestly, as long as someone was telling Jack, that didn't really matter, So, the next day rolls around and Jack comes over to the subscriber's house. He's like, what's up, bro? Like, how's life been? And the Subscriber, like, right away, just kind of like gets into it. He's like, dude, look, this isn't going to be a really fun conversation, and I'm really sorry. And Jack's like, okay. He's like, I was at Ben's house, and his sister, Kiki, yes, your girlfriend. He's like, yeah, Kiki. He's like, no, don't start that. It's not going to be good. He says, yeah, sorry, bro. Like, I was at Ben's house, and I happened to walk into Kiki's room, and I'm sorry, but she was cheating on you with another guy. And Jack's face just goes from, like, to, like, what? And at first, she's like, dude, no, it definitely, like, wasn't what you think it was. And he's like, no, it's 100%. Like, I even, like, Ben was supposed to come too, but she told him specifically not to talk to you about it. But she didn't say for me not to talk to you, because she doesn't know that we're, friends or whatever. And he's like, if I ask Ben, will he confirm? And the subscriber's like, yeah, Jack, I'm sorry. If you ask Ben, he saw it too. And he's also going to tell you that Kiki said not to talk to him or not to talk to you. So I'm sorry. Like, I wouldn't make this up. And he's like, I got to break up with her. He's like, dude, it was a very strict relationship. Like, we both made an oath not to cheat on each other. This was in no way an open relationship. And subscriber's like, yeah, Jack, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, little bro, stay around. I want to show you how it's done. Like, take this as a life lesson if you're ever in this situation. So Jack is just like, or the subscriber's just like, oh, it's about to go down, boys. It's about to go down. So, Jack, rings her up and he says, hey, the subscriber, and says his name, right, was at Ben's house, and he says that you were cheating on me. And there's just, like, silence on the phone. And he said, also, apparently you told Ben not to talk to me. And the subscriber's like, dude, don't get Ben in trouble. Don't get Ben in trouble, right? But it doesn't matter, right? He was already going off. He's like, yeah, and I just by the way, I thought it was pretty clear that cheating was not a thing that we thought was okay. I guess I wasn't clear about that. Like, he was kind of being, like, a little sarcastic about it. But understandably so, man. Like, he's allowed to be salty. He just got cheated on in a 2-year-long relationship. Like, oh my God, like, okay, right? He was taking it pretty well. And he's like, hey, I don't like doing this over the phone, but I thought I had to do this as soon as possible. And yeah, we're breaking up. And he just shuts it off. He was like, normally it's better to break up with someone in person, but I just want to get it done with as soon as possible. And the subscriber's like, oh, wow, man, like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, like, it is what it is. Life is life. Like, I'll be sad for a while, but you just keep pushing. And the subscriber's like, this is why I like this guy. This is why I like this guy. Well, the story is, don't cheat. Subscribe if you haven't already, then watch another story video. Bye.